me though, it's like it all happened the way he wants it to happen though.
Facts. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So it may not be tomorrow, it may not be week, month, year, but it'll happen eventually, and it's gonna happen exactly how he wanted to happen. So
But I also not trying to like challenge you or anything, but
yeah,
like nah, like, I would challenge that and saying like you have to be proactive in that journey
yeah.
too though.
Like, what
So
if I start tomorrow?
like yeah, like that's like my thing is like obviously nobody's gonna change overnight, but you can start to change tomorrow.
Right.
And
Mm.
that's like a very like in my life I've realized that like I've obviously like y'all know like bro I was doing some crazy stuff. Like I was wilding. And that didn't just happen. Me going from being that person to who I am now, like that, because you have to want it.
Mm-hmm.
Like like for football, bro, you worked your butt off to get an offer. You worked so hard to do all that to be where you're at now.
Mm. So was that kind of just the ultimate thing? Was someone else kind of like giving you some
Yeah, my
advice or
thing.
insight? Or-
Yeah, my thing was it was always somebody else telling me I should do this, and I listen. So
So you obviously had to go into training. You had to do like work for that to get ready for that.
yeah,
Because it's
but
obviously,
I didn't train hard though. That's the
yeah.
thing. Like, I would get yelled at for not going as hard as I should.
But you're glad you did it
Yeah, I'm glad.
anyway.
I'm glad I did it anyway. Yeah.
I think it says it in Second Timothy or something like that. But it's like you can treat your training as like a Christian, like you do like in athletics or on the field
Yeah.
or on the court. And it's like one of those things like you say you may not have worked it like that, but
Mm,
ultimately you have to prepare yourself mentally too. You have to prepare yourself physically and get yourself ready every time to get better, you know, to try and perform better.
right.
And it's one of those things you can treat that like not to put the pressure on yourself to like perform better,
Mm,
but like strive to be better because you know what you're capable of, because God knows what you're capable of if you kind of give it to Him. And I will say one of those when I talked to one of my friends who's a non-believer,
mm,
talked to him about, Christianity, not trying to convince him, but trying to plant a seed. And he mentioned to me like one of those things, he was like, I don't like when people say, "Oh, it's all part of God's plan," and then they don't do anything about it. And he brought up this like example. It was like this kid who just like fails everything, doesn't try at all at school,
yeah.
like gets F's whatever, C's whatever, and it's like, oh, it's part of God's plan. I'm going on this path, and it's like that's something that is hard. You can't really like say anything to that, but that's one of those things like you have free will. God's not going to force you to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Yes, it could be a part of God's will to come to Him later, but it's one of those things like there's nothing that you know can stop you from, trying to do something different tomorrow, if that
Right.
makes sense, like what he was saying. And it's not one of those things like I'm trying to convince you. It's one of those things where it's like encouraging you to think that you don't have to, wait. It's a gradual change. Like you take 1%, even a 0.1% change, like the next day, that could end up like increasing to whatever the next days, and it just builds and builds and builds.